G'day guys. Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, incredibly disappointed after this game. And if you watch my channel, you know how I feel about the discussion with regards to taking the penalty goals. And I do think that the way that the Australian teams are approaching penalty kicks is just fundamentally incorrect. I know a lot of people are going to say the Springboks kick penalties all the time and the Blues kicked a bunch of penalties this game. Yes, but every team is different. The Springboks literally have a game plan that they've revolved around penalty kicking, revolved around milking penalties with the scrum, and having a goal kicker with like a 90% rate in Henry Pollard. That's their strategy. That's the game plan they build around it, right? The Waratahs don't have a scrum that can get a penalty every time we have a scrum. The Waratahs would never call for a scrum inside their own 22 to get a penalty, like comfortably get a penalty, right? We don't have we often look at the things that people do, the teams do, and conclude that is the best way to go about it, without understanding the intricacies that actually went behind the scene that allows that strategy to be viable in the world of rugby today. And the strategy that in fact, the strategy for the Springboks that won the World Cup in 2023 might not be viable anymore to win the World Cup in 2027. And you can see Rassi Erasmus is bringing out new strategies. He's brought in Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu to play a completely different style of rugby. He's giving more and more opportunity to Mane Lebok to try to score more tries. And he's sidelining what was considered the most successful strategy, which is goal kicking and 100 Pollard. Because Rassi Erasmus can see that the game, statistically, is not adding up. You're not going to be able to win test matches consistently just by getting penalties from your opposition. Because unlike 4 years ago, the teams are becoming way too disciplined than they used to be. 4 years ago, the average is low double digit for a test team. And if a team can get under 10 in terms of penalty count, you would applaud that team for that performance. How many times have I heard the Wallabies come out and say, oh, our discipline is not great. You know, you look at the stats and consider like 16, 18 penalties. Of course, you're going to lose the match, right? If the team is conceding, let's say not 16, let's say 14 penalties, which was about the average you're going to get from 4 years ago. You kick half of those because, you know, the penalties could be considered anywhere in the field. Let's say half of them is inside your own half and you kick 100% of them. That's 21 points, right? 21 points is more than, it's enough to win you a lot of test matches. But that's just not happening in the world today. That's not enough. The number of penalties the teams are giving out nowadays are under 10. The Blues gave out 6 penalties this game. The French, gave out, I don't know, like what? I think 8 or something against England. I might be wrong. I know the French gave out 4 against the Irish. And then the Irish gave away 8 against the French in the opening match. And how are you going to win a test match kicking 2 penalty goals against the French? 6 points? You think you're going to beat the French with 6 points? So the fundamental idea of winning the game with penalty kicks is no longer like even a viable strategy. And you can see teams transitioning into a goal-scoring oriented style. If you look at England rugby this year in the Six Nations, to put away the Wales game because Wales was way undertuned. The subsequent 3 games where they lost to the Irish, to the Scottish, and to the Italians, because England was kicking penalty goals, largely focused on that traditional style of penalty goals, only to concede more points in retaliation than they did when they played against Italy. Italy also had a penalty goal, kicking penalty goals, and it was basically like a 50-50 game. If you look at when in reality, England probably should have won that game, had more depths more money, like way more talent that is available to them, that it really shouldn't be like a coin toss against Italy. I'm not trying to bash Italy. I'm just saying the resources that England team have should not be that close of a game. Why was it so close? Because England was pursuing a strategy that mathematically no longer made sense. And if you move on to the final game, England played against France. Much fewer penalty kicks for both teams, much more attempt to score tries, and England almost beat the French. And in fact, I had a stat recorded from the game. The first penalty England kicked, the first penalty French kicked, they conceded 13 unanswered points from the English. And when England kicked their 3 points, after scoring these 13 points, the French delivered 19 unanswered points against the English before England was able to wrestle the momentum back. The idea of just taking the 3 points as, just without consideration for the momentum, without consideration of the timing, without consideration of the energy level of your team and the opposition's energy level, it's really just not as simple as it used to be. Let's just take 3 and that's the optimal decision. It is much more complicated than it used to be. In fact, if we look back at one of the teams who's really good at giving away penalties, believe it or not, is Richie McCaw's All Blacks team back from a decade ago. I think all of us watching this has called Richie McCaw a cheat at some point. And one of the things Richie McCaw does really well, and this is the reason why they were the best team in the world, is they understand the energy level. They understand where their team is at in terms of momentum, where the opposition team is at in terms of their momentum, where Richie McCaw understands where on the field you are most likely to kick a goal, and he would deliberately give away penalties to let you take the 3 to wrestle back the momentum. You know this is the case. You've seen it plenty times. And he will give away the penalties in areas where you are least likely to score as well, as much as he can. Because that is how important, how much they understood the importance of momentum. And you see this a lot, especially when the All Blacks play against the Springboks in South Africa or something, where the home crowd energy is feeding on the team, and you're like, yes, we're gonna score, we're gonna get this, we're gonna score 7 points. The All Blacks we're gonna take a massive lead very early on, only for Richie McCaw to give a penalty, and then your team takes the 3, and the next thing you know, the All Blacks is pounding your try line, and you're wondering, how did we just go from this team that looked like we're gonna unstoppable to getting absolutely run over by the All Blacks? Because they understood the importance of momentum. And I just think that it is widely misunderstood in the Australian sides, all the way up to the test level. And I think, for me, right, my proposal will be that in the Super Rugby level, you only kick 3 points if you needed to win the game. That's it, right? You're down, you're 2 points below, or like maybe you're 4 points up, you kick 3 points, and the opposition has to score twice. Oh, in those situations near the end of the game, only times you should take 3. All the other times, it's just an opportunity to get the players honing their craft, to grow as a team, as a cohort. Yes, the Kiwi, they kick 3, but the Kiwis are better than us in all the other aspects of the game. We have to give our team the opportunity to grow to the level that is world class first, before we started to try to math about penalty kicks and whatnot. The Super Rugby level really is the place where we should grow the players to become test level players. Not the place where we try to min-max the penalty goal and let everybody take a break. Really, it is more than that. It is about really pushing it to the next level. And when you're actually at the level of the Springboks, where you can consistently win scrums, when you're actually at the level of the All Blacks or the French with impeccable kicking game, when you're actually at that level, and then you're in the game where it's a stalemate, then yeah, consider some penalty goals. Consider some creative ways to get penalties and get penalty goals in the World Cup semi-finals or something. But at this point of the game, at this point in the Super Rugby level, it is really more important about building confidence in the players, building skill set. You know, it's okay if you mess up. Like we saw the Waratahs, how many times we botched a try. It's okay. You get better. This is where you get better as a player. Putting yourself under pressure. The situations you experience on the field cannot be simulated in training. You're playing against a really, really good All Blacks, a team stacked with the All Blacks. You're not going to get that in training. How are they going to respond to what you do? You're not going to get that. You're not going to be able to simulate that in training. You're not going to be able to simulate the intensity in training. And you finally got this opportunity, and you're like, oh, you dropped the ball, right? It's okay. This is your chance to learn. This is your chance to hone that skill, to build that, to take that opportunity. And if you didn't take that opportunity to build, to become a better player, and you just take the 3, you're never going to get better. You're never going to win any matches. Not only that, you're pursuing a strategy that mathematically doesn't even make sense, but you're also relinquishing all the opportunities for your team, for the entire Rugby Australia as a cohort to grow. If you can't score a try against a Blues team stacked with Beauden Barrett on the opposite end because you dropped the ball because you're too nervous, forget about scoring a try against the Springboks in the Rugby World Cup quarterfinal. You might as well concede today. You might as well take the loss against the All Blacks in the opening match and hope to hope you get a better luck against England on the losers bracket. That's not the mentality we should be pursuing. We should be pursuing to be the best team in the world. Our players should be pursuing to be the best players ever. And that's how I felt watching this game. The first half, despite, yes, we took penalty goals, Blues taking penalties as well, but majority of our time was spent on building pressure. We botched so many tries, held up, dropping ball, Harry Potter, whatever, right? But that's okay. We still won the first half, despite what you might say, 17 points to 8 was the score. Guess what? Even if you don't score, the Blues can't score without the ball. That's a fact. I don't know, sometimes the Springboks might make you think that kicking the ball away is the best way to win the game. But let me tell you something, if you don't give it the ball, if the opposition can't have the ball, they can never score. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. You have whole possession, you keep working, keep focusing on what you wanted to do, sustain pressure, and we were comfortably winning the first half, despite all the errors. And second half somehow came out as sheds. We'll take the 3. We indicate to the whole world that mentally the team thinks that whatever lead that they had was enough. Happy to hold out another 40, holding it is good enough to win the game. And maybe the Blues will give us a bunch of penalties and we can kick another 10 points or 12 points or something. And we never got the momentum back. We show the Blues weakness. And there's a reason the Blues are stuck with the All Blacks. They smell blood. They're sharks. They smell blood. They go for it. And we we showed weakness. We gave him a sniff of blood, and we punished for it. And really, I don't know what yeah. Dan McKellar, if you wanna show me some stats, have a discussion with me about penalty goals or something, or I can show you some stats. I can create some spreadsheets for you. I can help you interpret some numbers. I have a degree in finance. I am Asian. Please let me know. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. And I just don't think the way that the team is going right now is the right direction, and it's only gonna go downhill if we continue this direction. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Scrummaging. Now, I'm pretty sure it looks like to me that the referee cohort probably had a meeting this week about angling in and wheeling of the scrum. Once again, I had to watch some replay to really get a sense of this, because watching it live, it really felt like the scrum was 50-50. But watching it on the replay, it is really, really clear to me that the referees are very hard on the scrum, being wheeled without clear form momentum. One of the things that the referee looking out for, as indicated by the referee in the previous match, was it Dolman? This is Geordie Way. Was it Dolman in the match, or was it who was it? I think it was Nick Berry in the previous in the Hurricanes game, where he indicated that the penalty was given because the looser has stepped out, hips swung out, and that's an indication of boring in. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that interpretation. So if you actually step out and then you go in and causing the scrum to wheel without the scrum going forward at all, I can see that's a good logic, and it is a completely different interpretation to how the scrum is looked at in the international level. It is different interpretation, in fact, from how the scrum is looked at from last week. I don't know how this is going to go. I do think that, if you think that the team is still illegally wheeling the scrum, I do think that it's really important to draw the line so that you don't just start rewarding, the weaker team for pulling back, because you have to reward dominance. You can't just say, oh, you've gotten, the scrum has wheeled and you are being penalized for illegally wheeling the scrum. Because I've explained this in a previous video. If you block one end of the scrum and you push, it will wheel, all right? It's going to wheel. It doesn't really matter how you go about it. If you block one end, it's going to wheel. And how that wheel is achieved, this, the team could pull back, and it's really difficult to say. And I actually prefer for the referee, if they're not sure what's causing the wheel, to just say, get the ball down, play on, or reset the scrum, instead of just issuing a penalty, because you end up rewarding the weaker team, and that is not really good. I don't really like that at all, to reward the weaker team. I think the Hurricanes game, there was a big example of the scrum where I felt like the weaker team was being rewarded for essentially not able to cope with the push coming in from the looser side. I think Geordie Way wasn't too bad in this game, and I do think that they need to be. Yeah, I do think that they need to rethink about this, because this is a new thing. Literally just started to get pinned for this week in Super Rugby. I really think that they need to have a really identifying how that's going to go, because you really don't want it to see like a weak team getting rewarded, right? So let's have a look at this scrum here. The Blues, there's a bit of wrestling here. Ball's getting fed in. The scrum is so Geordie, we can't see it on this angle, but on the tight hair side, the scrum is getting pushed in. I do think the Blues actually should be getting the advantage here, because the Blues are going forward, and Geordie Wade's gonna say that the Blues angled in from the tight hair side, but it's really difficult to see as well. I've explained this in another video, right? Say this is your tight head, right? Going so that's this way. So this is your tight head going straight for, and then this is the loose head pushing like this, right? They're pushing like this, right? You got You got like the hooker and stuff down here, but I'll just get rid of this. So this is the tight head, right? And this is the loose head, right? So the loose head could obviously go at an angle, right? And that's illegal. But if the tight head goes in an angle, it makes the loose head go in an angle themselves. So it's really hard to say who's actually doing the angling. Is the loose head pushing the tight head in an angle? Or is the tight head pushing in at an angle and the loose head has to go in an angle because the tight head is going in an angle? It's actually really hard to judge. And I do think that it is really important to see which team is going forward. To just say that, oh, the tight head seems to be angling the most, is not 100% correct, because the loose head could be the one that's doing the pushing. Or the tight head could be leading the angling and forcing the loose head to be pushing, right? It's 50-50. You can't, it's really hard to say. And the team that's going forward should be rewarded. And I do think that the Blues in this situation should be rewarded for the full momentum. Or if you're unsure, like I said, if you're unsure, just play on and don't issue a decision. I do think that this is something that the referees need to look at, and this is inconsistent with how the scrum is being looked at around the world. And it is a problem, right? The angling in by the law book is not allowed. But the problem is who's actually angling in, how to determine who's doing the angling. And I think that's something that's really hard to determine, and if not impossible to determine at times. And I think that referee needs to, I would like to get some more information out of referee on how he determined that this was the tight head angling in and not the loose head pushing the tight head into an angle, right? So it's something that I would like to get some more clarity going forward. And then Beauden Barrett banana kick, I think one of the best one I saw today, 5 meters out, and then it was right out of the corner on the 5 meter line as well. Kicked it like 45 meter banana. God damn it, Beauden Barrett banana kicks are way too good. And AJ Lamb, I saw him. You see him a lot on TV, but I saw him, live for the first time today. Absolutely massive. He's got so much bigger than when he was playing as a winger for the Blues. Absolutely massive. I saw him at 2 tries today. Ran over one of the Joey Walton, I think, for one of the tries. Absolutely massive AJ Lamb. My goodness, right? I'm just very impressed by how he's developed in terms of physically. And outside of that, I think that's all I want to talk about in terms of the game. I think that, the Waratahs just got to back themselves, stick to the game plan. I just believe in yourselves. There was also an injury to Riley. Riley was supposed to be playing, and then I showed up. I saw him standing on the sideline with a suit, in a bit of business suit with a tie. Yeah, I knew he was probably not going to be able to play. And some interesting stuff I saw today, actually. Joseph Swali'i, really impressed me today. He's really really good man, this guy. And, so the players were sitting, in the front row watching the game, basically in the fan section. And then after the game, Joseph Swali'i picked up, because everybody was drinking water, because, everybody had water bottles, just water. Joseph Swali'i, he picked up everybody's water bottles, and then he threw it all away. He picked up everybody else's rubbish. He picked up his teammates' rubbish, and then he threw it all away to keep the stadium clean. And I was like, wow, I was really impressed by that. I was, hats off to you, really really well mannered young man. And that's really good. And I think I really do, I'm glad that is the culture that the Waratahs are fostering, and not just being a bunch of spoiled rich kids and let someone else clean up your shit. And I was really impressed by that. So yeah, that's tip of my hat to the Waratahs there. Let's have a look at the game stats of the game. 2 tries to 5 for the Waratahs, 480 run meters to the Blues 300. Like, look, we dominated the run meters. Oh my goodness, especially in the first half. 127 carries to the Blues, 114. 22 defenders beaten for the Blues, for the Waratahs 14. 19 turnovers conceded for the Waratahs, 10 against the Blues. 149 tackles made for the Waratahs, 22 missed tackles. That's actually not too bad. 167 tackles made for the Blues, 14 missed. That's world class, less than 10% missed tackle count. 22 kicks in play for the Waratahs, to the Blues 15. 3 conversions missed from Beauden Barrett. First of all, that first conversion, I swear to God, it did not miss. I swear to God, it didn't miss. I watched it live. It did not miss. And the replay showed that it did not miss, but the flags didn't go up. So, am I crazy? That first kick was not a miss. I have to go back and watch the replay again, but I watched the replay live in the stadium. I watched the goal getting kicked live in front of my eyes. I did not think it was. Anyway, let me know what happened there. Kiss from hand, 384 for the Blues. Let's just refresh it. That's really low kicking meters. Yeah, 384 kicking meters for the Waratahs, 376 for the Blues. Really not much kicking game going on. Bunch of banana kicks from them, like 3 banana kicks from Beauden Barrett made up for all of their stats, right? Probably, right? It was just bloody Beauden Barrett banana kicks. 7 kicks, 7 liners to the Waratahs, 1 loss. Actually better accuracy there. 12 for the Blues, 4 lost. 5 scrums to the Waratahs, no loss. 7 scrums to the Blues, 2 loss for themselves. 13 penalties against the Waratahs. That is a big, that is really bad. Blues, 6 penalties conceded. There was 1 yellow card for a head contact. I thought that could be straight red, to be honest. Shoulder tucked. Yes, the player was ducking, but it was never a legal move. No wrapping, not even attempt to wrap, just shoulder tuck straight to the head. Yes, this duck, there's everything. It should have been a straight red, not just a 20-minute red. Straight red, and the ref should not be mitigating factors because it's an illegal move to begin with. Never legal. Dangerous, never legal, foul play. Should have been a straight red. Not even a 20-minute red. Straight send-off. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on that as well. And yeah, this is 26 minutes already. Let's just quickly recap on some of the points. I guess, yeah, I actually, anyway, just go watch the replay. I think, I thought, yeah, there were so many tries that was botched by the Waratahs. Harry Potter knocked one on in goal, held up so many times. Yeah, but eventually we crashed over, and the second half we just completely relinquished the momentum, allowed the Blues to play rugby, and we just didn't step up. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys, and like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, once again, we got a bit unlucky with the injury. With what's his name? Riley was named to play at 13, and then we had to make changes to Joey Walton moving to 13 and getting Crichton at 12. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later. Cheers.